So you're finally happy with your roster. You have enough characters, you want to get some 5-star weapons to take your account to the next level. But which 5-star weapons are actually worth it? Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. And today, we're going to be doing a 5-star weapons tier list. We're going to be making the tier list on Tactor, who is a new partner of the channel. We'll talk about them more later. I want to first talk a bit about when is the right time for your account to start getting 5-star weapons. So first of all, like I said, you got to have all your favorite 5-star characters already, because you never know when they're going to rerun, so you don't want to waste your primo gems on weapons and then not have enough to get the characters that you want. That's very, very important. The next thing is, what are the better, if you're looking to vertically invest in your account, what is the better thing to do? Go for constellations or go for weapons? On one hand, a lot of people call weapons more universal because of course you can switch them around to different characters, and this is technically true. However, there's a lot of characters who are also very universal, such as Shenhe Nahida and Novelette to some extent if you use him all the time. And getting constellations for these characters might be a much bigger and even more versatile upgrade. You're probably going to use Shenhe on almost every single abyss. If you use Novelette on every abyss, if you use a lot of the new Fontaine characters have very broken constellations, so if you're using them in every single abyss, you might be better off getting constellation. I actually made a video about this right here, the best constellations and weapons to transform your account. It's a vertical investment video. I'll link it at the end. Of course, it doesn't include characters that have released since then, but surprise, surprise, all the new characters have a better C1 than they do weapon. That's just how Genshin seems to be doing it these days. But still, there is an argument to be made for weapons. They are more versatile. I use my Aqua Simulacra, for example, on so many characters that it's definitely been worth the upgrade. In addition, they're super drippy. They look great on the characters. That's the main reason I get them, is because of how good they look. And there's something that you can reverse. You can get a weapon, then go back to a 4-star weapon to test the difference. But if you get a constellation, you're always stuck with it. The next thing to consider is that weapon banner is very dangerous. You might lose your weapon to a bad weapon, or if you only have a 37.5% chance to actually get the weapon you want, it can be very scary. So all that to say, it's very important that if you do go for a weapon, that you go for the right weapon banner. And what's the right weapon banner for you? Well, hopefully one that has as many of the weapons in the top tier as possible. So let's go over my tiering. I have my S reserved for the best. These are weapons that are probably good on almost any account. A is going to be a powerful signature and or very versatile. B is B. It's just in the middle. C is going to have some decent uses, and D is weak or low value. I will say anything B and up, if you can use it on your characters, is a good weapon. But the B is generally good but niche, I would say. Good but niche or outclassed by cons. That's basically how I would describe the B tier. Okay, so starting with, I guess we'll go in alphabetical order, starting with 1,000 Floating Dreams. 1,000 Floating Dreams is good, but it is niche and it's outclassed by constellations. So it's good on Nahida for sure, 100%, but generally you're going to rather go for Nahida C2 over her weapon, and there's not many other characters that really want to use this weapon. It's all right, like it's good, like for sure it's going to be an upgrade. It's definitely not one that you cry about if you have the character that it's for, if it's on the weapon banner, but it's not like one that you should be like really excited about going after. Absolution, the image isn't here yet, but this is Cloran's weapon, and this is a powerful signature. It is like quite good on her, like very, very good, and it has a decent passive. Like I'm kind of not sure if I want to put it in A or B, because obviously the Bond of Life section is pretty big for its power, but it's pretty good as like a stat stick in general, giving you pretty high base attack and extra crit damage that's universal. I'm not sure if I want to put it in A or B. It definitely belongs like right in the middle. It just depends on how versatile it is. It also kind of depends on what other 5-star weapons you have, 5-star swords you have on your account. Because Cloran's another case where you'd rather get her constellations than her weapon, so it maybe should go in B. And it's not super, super versatile, so I'm going to put it in B for now. Maybe we'll move it later. Amos Bow, I'm going to put in D. It doesn't really matter because it doesn't show up on weapon banners anymore. You kind of just get it. I could put it in C, but I feel like it's not even Ganyu's best in slot anymore, so I think it's overall D. But keep in mind, obviously, that it is still very good on Ganyu. The other thing I think that takes it down is even on Ganyu teams these days, you do want to use her burst, and so then the most of the passive is not affecting that. So overall, I'm going to say D, but it's still a good weapon. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum is Aqua. Aqua is still one of the best weapons in the game. Obviously, the HP increase is not useful by too many characters, but just being close to the enemy and getting a 20% damage bonus on top of having a high crit damage substat and the lower base attack is very, very versatile, very, very powerful. It gives a very large upgrade to Yelan in addition to being very versatile. So Aqua is a very, very good weapon. Aquila still has some decent uses. Obviously, it's a great stat stick for Bennett, so definitely not going to cry about that one, but still not ever one that you'd go for. You know, it's just decent. I'd say the gap between B and C is much bigger than the gap between A and B, by the way. I wanted to take this time to talk about Tactor. I've wanted to get written guides out there for a long time and just have some quick resources available to you. So far, we've got our Sijuin guide, our Farina guide, and the Ultimate Weapons tier list. The one that I'm working on right now is going to be live on Tactor for this video. But not only am I going to have this finished tier list up there for you to refer back to, I will also keep it updated with new weapons as they get added. And I've also added a battle pass weapon tier list with a breakdown of when to get the battle passes and which battle pass to get, which one has the most value, both in tier list format and just generally breaking them down. I'm not going to show it here because I want you to go check out the guide. Link in the description. Give the guide a little heart. Follow me on Tactor. And thank you to them for partnering with the channel, for sponsoring the video. And let me know in the comments what kind of guides you'd like to see on Tactor. My favorite parts about Tactor are the ease of use that it is to both read the guides, right? This is my Farina guide, for example. I've got her kit breakdown, then I've got her best weapons and artifacts, and then I've got her teams breakdown. And this is just awesome to get a quick visual of all the different types of teams that you can make with your Farina. That's really, really cool that you can go here and refer to it. It's also really easy to make guides if you want to make guides yourself, if you wanted to start dabble in content creation or expand your reach. You've got it out there. I've also linked my guides here. And I'll try my best to keep this updated so that when new characters come out, that the teams will be in here, because I obviously can't go back and edit my videos, but I can go back and edit the Tactor guides. And it's just so nice to have this visual available for when you want to check things out and make your own teams, to have something to look at rather than to have to keep rewatching the video. I think is just very useful. So thanks to Tactor again for sponsoring the video and partnering with the channel. Next 5-star weapon is Beacon. I'm not exactly sure where to put it, because obviously it's like an S tier in terms of Claymore. Like in terms of Claymores, this is the best one, increasing attack, giving high crit rate, etc, etc. However, there's not very many good Claymore characters. Like if we think about a Genshin tier list, like I can't think about any S tier Claymore characters. So it seems like just by being a Claymore, it's inherently worse because we just don't have that many good Claymore characters. Like obviously Navia's pretty good, Plunge de Luke's pretty good. And we also have Serpent Spine is something to consider. That's like a really good option for both of those characters. So I don't know that I can put Beacon in S tier. I would say that if you have Claymore characters on your account, obviously Beacon is very, very good. And if you're not buying the Battle Pass, I think that that also is very, very good. So maybe if you have a Claymore character on your account that you really like and it's Diluc, but because if you have Dea, obviously you just want to get her signature weapon. So I don't know. I think I'm going to put it here. I don't want to be too liberal with my S tier placements. Next is Calamity Queller. I think people really dunk on Calamity Queller, and I'm going to dunk on it a bit too, because obviously it's really not good for Shenhe, but if you happen to get it, it does have some uses. It's pretty good on Zhao. It's pretty good at some other characters. Like Calamity Queller is not awful, but it's definitely not an amazing weapon. I think Cash Flow Supervision's next. Just by the fact that it's best in slot on both Wriothesley and Wanderer is really, really good. Of course, you need to be running Farina to take full advantage of it. So that's definitely a downside. I'm not sure. Maybe it should go in A. Maybe it should go in B. I think it just squeaks out to A, but it's very, very close. Like I said, the line between A and B is like super, super close. Crane's Call, Shan Yun's weapon, it is very, very powerful, but it is obviously very, 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 very niche, but it is very, very powerful. So it almost feels like A and B are like the same tier. This is like A minus, and then there's no B tier. I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough out here. Arlecchino's weapon, it is very, very, very tied to exactly her, and it's also outclassed. Maybe Crane's Echoing Call should be an A, just because of how powerful it is. And for damage, it is better than her C1. Her C2 is really good, though. It's tough. I think Arlecchino is definitely on the lower end because of how restrictive it is. Like, it's an okay stat stick, and it is pretty good for Arlecchino. Its drip is out of this world, but Arlecchino's C1 and C2 are so good that you'd almost always rather get them than getting her weapon. and by restricting it exactly to just Arlecchino makes it pretty low value. You could almost put it here. Can I really do that? Can I put Arlecchino's weapon in B? Yeah. I just think just because it's so restrictive and her constellations are so much better. But I don't know, it is still a pretty decent upgrade for her. I'm not sure. Let me know what you guys think. Elegy for the end. Incredible weapon. I'm definitely going to put that in S tier. I don't know if it's better or worse than Aqua, but providing elemental mastery, there's a lot of teams, whether it's vape teams, whether it's dendro teams, that wants elemental mastery. It's good on a lot of characters, like and good on just boosting attack as well. Like overall, I think Elegy is definitely an S tier weapon, and it's a great support weapon. Great for Yulon, great for like Skujusara, great for like Kale, great for just having this weapon makes all your bow characters, support characters, like twice as useful. So I definitely think Elegy deserves S tier. Engulfing Lightning is a solid weapon. It's not insane. Like, it's good on Xiangling, obviously. It's good on Raiden, but there's a lot of weapons that are good on them. And you generally rather go for cons for Raiden before you go for a weapon. So I'm going to put it there. Everlasting Moonglow. Kokomi is definitely, like, DPS Kokomi is definitely better than it used to be. So, you know, this weapon is not as bad as it used to be because of Farina. Farina, like, single-handedly made this weapon not nearly as bad. Like, using DPS Kokomi now is better. It's still not great. It's still not a huge upgrade over Prototype Amber, but I think you could argue putting it up here. It still is just on Kokomi. I guess the fact that it could be used on Baiju, I don't know. I think I'm still gonna put in D, but it could be put in B. Like, maybe we'll do something like this. I don't know. Whatever. Freedom Sworn. Freedom Sworn, pretty good. It's not nearly as universal of a buff as Elegy. Providing elemental mastery is more valuable than providing attack, but it's still like a pretty good weapon. It's still like pretty good on Alhaitham. Obviously, it's Kazuha's best in slot, but it is hard to use on Kazuha, so it's good, but it's not like super insane. Haran. I think Haran, where does Haran go? Because Haran is good on Clorand now. Otherwise, it's like Ayato. Crit rate, give some damage bonus. Like, it's good. Like, it's good. It's solid, but it's not like crazy. Hunter's Path is a really, really good bow. I definitely think that this goes in A. It's obviously best in slot on Tainari, very close on Ganyu. It's a solid stat stick overall. Obtain damage bonus, increase charge attack, damage based on elemental mastery. So you obviously have to, you know, want elemental mastery to make full use of it. Obviously it's great on Sethos now. You can use it on Fischl, but that won't help the charge attack damage, so never mind. I feel like I should almost just merge this A and A minus. Maybe we put like Haran up here, we put this up here, we put Absolution up here, we put this up here. Maybe it's something like this. Maybe this is more like accurate. I think Engulfing is, yeah, Engulfing is definitely better than that. I think it's actually more like this. Okay, Jadefall Splendor, Baiju's weapon. I definitely think that this, like, sure, it could be used on Kokomi as well, but Prototype Amber is just like so close that it's like, yeah, it's almost always just as good or better. Kagura's Verity. I think that this is another one for the A tier. It's obviously great on Yaimiko. It's a decent stat stick overall. It's great on Klee. Some other characters, it's like a good stat stick. Similar to the Claymore thing, like catalysts are generally like not quite as good. And not every character wants to do damage from their skill. Like Risley, Wanderer, they don't want to do skill damage. So yeah, it's not as, it's like the opposite of cash flow, like for the other kinds of characters. Key of Kajna Suit. I got memed on for putting this in S tier. And I do agree that I probably shouldn't have put an S tier at the time when I did my weapon tier list, but nowadays I definitely do think it belongs in S tier because not only is it obviously insanely good on Nilou, it's like far and away the best, but also using it on Kuki is really good for buffing Dendro teams, and of course for Farina on teams that value elemental mastery, the Key of Kajna Suit's absolutely insane. So really, really good weapon overall and very high value weapon. Can even be better than Farina's signature sometimes, depending on the team. So I think it's a great weapon these days. Yeah. Light of Foliar Incision. This is a tough one. It's obviously good on Alhaitham and Keqing, but I think it's not, there's so many good 5-star swords that it kind of just gets pushed down, and there's not like enough elemental mastery attacking characters to like really make it super good. So I'm gonna put it here in A minus. Lost Prayer definitely goes in D. It's not useless, but because we have the Widsith, and the Widsith is basically just as good, it's pretty low value. Memories of Dust. Yeah, that's a really bad weapon. Not very good. Good thing we don't see this on weapon banners anymore. Very happy for that. Mist Splitter. I'm not sure if I want to put Mist Splitter in S or A. It is pretty universal. You get the damage bonus, and a few characters can actually stack it up. It does have like a higher base attack and lower crit damage substat than some others, so it's not like as good as Aqua, but it's still pretty good. I think it's still going to be S, just like on the lower side of S tier. Polar Star, incredible stat stick. You could make an argument for S tier, increasing elemental burst and skill damage by 12%, and it's a little bit of a pain to stack up. It's just not as universal as Aqua, so I just kind of want to put it a bit lower. And crit rate, not as good as crit damage in general, both with freeze, with Shenhe Hunter. Crit rate is just a little bit easier to come by, so I'm going to put it in A instead of S. Jade Cutter. I know I just said that about crit rate, but Jade Cutter is just staying so universal, and giving both HP and attack means it is more versatile than Mistsplitter. It does provide crit rate, which can be rough for a Shenhe Hunter or freeze, but it still ends up being like one of the best in slot, unless your character is like Chlorand. I don't know. This is tough. Maybe both Mistsplitter and Jade Cutter go in the A tier, or maybe they both go in the S tier. This is very hard. Very, very hard. Jade Wing Spear. I think this is like a solid B, or solid like the A- tier. It's like pretty universal. It's pretty good. But it's not insane, but it's pretty universal. So yeah, I think it's a solid A- tier. Redhorn Stone Thresher provides all that crit damage, which is better than the crit rate that Beacon provides, but its passive is just like not that great. So normal and charge attack damage, not the best passive, but it's still a good weapon, good generalist weapon. So I don't know. I think they both are on about the same level. This is the new bow from Sijuin, the Silver Shower Heartstrings. I think like it gives HP. I would say maybe C. I don't know. I haven't seen Yelan calcs yet. If it's actually like competitive on Yelan, then perhaps it could be higher. For now, I'm going to put it in C because I don't know how good it is on Yelan, how it compares to Fav. But if it ends up being calced pretty close to Fav, and like pretty close to Aqua, sorry, like much higher than Fav, then we can put it in B. But for now, we'll put it there. I don't want to oversell it, especially since it's on banner right now. Skyward Atlas, I would say it's at B. Like it's a solid stat stick. Like it's not all that much worse than others. It can be as good as the Wid Sith or more consistent, so I would say it's like decent, and then maybe this one deserves over here, something like this. Skyward Blade, I actually like the Skyward Blade. Personally, I use it over Aquila for Bennett just because it makes it easier to build him with energy recharge, and the damage loss is not very high. So I think Skyward Blade's pretty good. These aren't really ordered, by the way. Skyward Harp. I think Skyward Harp is pretty good. Do we put Skyward Harp? I think it goes here. Like, it's not as powerful as some of the other ones, but it is always like a really universal and really solid bow. So yeah, I think A- for Skyward Harp. Skyward Pride. Skyward Pride, not very good. I'm gonna say it's D. It could be C, but I think Claymore characters are so underwhelming, like the ones that you would use Skyward Pride. Like, yeah, it can be good on Eula, etc., but I'm gonna say it's D. Skyward Spine, I'm gonna say it has like a decent use as being like a good option for Raiden or Xiangling, like an alternative to the catch. It's basically a second catch, and we all know how good the catch is. So I think I'm gonna put it in B. I think I like it in B. Might be a little bit higher than some people would place it, but it generally outperforms the catch. So and people like the catch. So I don't know. I think it's a B. Song of Broken Pines. It's tough because Eula is so bad, and I apologize if you like Eula. I like Eula too, but she is objectively not very good, and Broken Pines is her signature. It is like really good on her, so I don't know. I'll put it in C, I guess. Farina's Sword. I'm definitely gonna put this in A-. It definitely does not like really hit like a signature really should, especially because our constellations are so much better, and it just doesn't clear the other weapons as much as it should. But again, the difference between even S and A- is just not a huge crazy amount. I'm also putting it here just to communicate how good Farina's other weapons are. Like, it's really like a solid decent weapon, but her other weapons are just so good. Like, it's not like a 2-tier difference. It feels like it, you know. That's why it's A- and not something less. Homa, this is tough. Does this go in S or in A? I think I'm going to put it in S. Like, I think just it's so many polearm characters, like best in slot or close to best in slot. Providing HP means that if we ever get a more HP scaling attackers, that Homa will remain a very good option. Like, it's sort of the same as Jade Cutter in that it's good for HP characters as well as attack scaling characters. Of course, the passive is not like super good these days because Farina kind of makes it rough, like the second half of the passive, but I still think like just the first half, HP 20%, and an attack bonus is still pretty good. Although, and then just being a crit damage substat, I still think it hits S tier, but it's definitely like not as S tier as it used to be. Like it used to be like way more S tier than it is. Would have liked to have seen damage bonus. Like Aqua provides damage bonus, Homa provides attack, so it's better to get damage bonus. And the second half of the passive, like pretty much only Hu Tao, maybe Zhao are going to use this, but then if you're using on Farina teams, then you're probably running a healer and they're probably keeping you above 50%. So it kind of has anti-synergy with Farina, which definitely made it fall off a bit more. So I don't know. But I still think it's S tier. I just think that these three are like, I think these three are just a bit of a cut above. Staff of the Scarlet Sands. Now that's a great weapon as well. Like I said, crit rate is not as good as crit damage, but it gives a lot of stats. Elemental mastery and attack, like giving you extra attack scaling based on your elemental mastery, really good. Great for Sino, great for Xiangling, but it's also great for like anyone that uses on a Dendro team or a vape team. Like it's great on Arlecchino when she's vaping. So Staff Scarlet Sands, crazy weapon. I think it's better than Homa these days. I'll probably have to get it next time it comes back. Summit Shaper has some uses, but it's pretty bad overall. Like just by being a sword, like it's pretty good, but definitely not insane. I think Linny's bow, very good. Great stat stick, like solid stat stick, and also for charge attack characters, it's generally best in slot, so very good. Unforged, I'm definitely gonna put this in the last tier. Pretty bad. Thundering Pulse is solid. Like it's a good stat stick. Increases attack. It has a 20% attack as its passive, and then it just increases normal. If we get more normal attack characters, I think I could move it up, but for right now, it's pretty restricted to Yoimiya, Childe. It's still good on Childe. It's good on yoimiya and Childe, but I think Childe has a lot of good options that are better than this or more universal than this. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you think that Thundering Pulse should be moved up, but again, it's A- and A. Like it's not a crazy big difference. Tome of Eternal Flow is extremely good on Novelette. And if you're using someone on a Farina team, like if you're using Yan Fei or something, it's really good for her. Pretty good for, you know, other characters that are being used with Farina. Like pretty decent stat stick because it gives you a lot of crit damage and low base attack. So overall, I definitely think it belongs in A. Again, the A is not ordered. I think S is ordered. The rest are not ordered. Tulia's Remembrance, it is solid for Wanderer, but and it's solid for Risley as well. But I definitely don't think, and being a crit damage weapon does help. That is nice. That is a positive over cash flow, not over capping crit rate if your artifacts give you a lot of crit rate. But I still don't think it's like, especially it's quite universal enough to go in the A tier, especially because cash flow is so close to Wanderer. Now, this might be a surprise to some people, but I think Urakuri Misaguri has quietly become the best sword in Genshin. Like maybe not the best sword because it's not like the passive isn't as universal. But if a character does either normal attack damage or elemental skill damage, then this weapon becomes really close to being the best in slot. Like 16% elemental damage bonus is higher than what Mist Splitter does. It has high crit damage substat. It's one of Alhaitham's second best weapon. It's Cloran's sort of her second best weapon if you can't properly make use of Haran. It's one of Farina's top damaging choices. Obviously, it's Jerry's best weapon, but it's like a great stat stick. If you happen to be using a Geo character on the team, which a lot of people use Zhongli, then you're going to be getting its next passive to double the effect of it'll be a 32% damage bonus. Like, I think this weapon is like quietly just like a little bit kind of cracked. Like, the only thing that holds it back is that a lot of people aren't using Chiori, like don't have Chiori on their account. So it's not like you're not getting it as a signature for her, but like as a second weapon on a weapon banner, like this is kind of massive. The Verdict is good on Navia, but no one else. So I think I'm going to put that in A-. Vortex Vanquisher, really awful. It can be okay if you're using Zhongli and you want attack and stuff. Wolf's Gravestone is like solid stat stick, but it's a claymore, so I'm gonna put it in C. So there you have it. That is my 5-star weapon tier list. So make sure to go check out below to see the tier list I made for the battle pass. I gave a little short description as to which weapon is best when, and you can see what tier I put all the weapons on. So go check that out. Take care. Bye for now.